All right, hey guys, um, here at Anarchapulco, day 2. I wanted to recap a little bit, um, kind of some of the things I saw day 1. Try to, it's a little complicated to try to explain everything that's kind of going on here. Um, and I think there's a lot of interest from people. There's certainly a lot of people here from the United States, but from other countries as well. I've met people from Norway, Australia. There are people even here also from Mexico that are getting involved in cryptocurrencies and wanted to come to the conference as well. Um, One of the interesting things, I guess, to try and explain how this works is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce, and there's really nothing there, but I'm going to introduce kind of where my channel is headed. Um, I started off kind of talking about crypto and coins and different things. And then I haven't been making videos for a while because there's a lot of people that are making videos. You can get information from a lot of different sources, and I want to be able to try and add value. And to me, that's the key to making videos and to having people like your content is you have to try and add something of value. And I didn't feel like I was doing that with just talking about cryptocurrencies. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is launching a new website, and it's called betterbeliefs.com. And kind of the purpose behind this is to discuss some of the limited beliefs that people have, maybe in your life that are holding you back. And I think a lot of it even comes back to the system that I'm an American that we've kind of grown up in, and so I know if you watch Jeff Berwick, he talks about people being programmed, and in a way it is. You're kind of programmed by the place that you grew up in. But I think in this day and age in America, there's a lot of problems, or there are a lot of issues. The school shooting just the other day. Here I am flying into Mexico, and I'm thinking, I've never been here before. I was a little bit leery of how I would be treated. I thought, I think the illegal population that's in the United States is treated so poorly. And I think it's mostly out of fear. People don't want to lose their jobs to workers that come in and take lower wage jobs and displace citizens. So I think there's some angst against that. But I don't think the illegals are actually treated that well. I wouldn't say maybe mistreated, but I'm not sure that they're treated that well. I've seen instances where I had a roof put on my house, and the guy created a scenario where the OSHA came in and dinged them on some stupid rule about a ladder or something that was tilted against the side of the house. And the guy says to me, he was the guy that bid the job, and he had, I don't know, maybe 17 illegals up there working on the house. And he says to me, he says, none of these guys are getting paid. I was like, what? Why is that? He says, because of that OSHA violation. He goes, that they're going to fine me, and none of them are going to be paid. And of course, when they found that out, they took it out on my roof with all the hammers and everything. And I just, it took me a little while, but I figured out what happened there. Is that guy ripped those people off. That was his girlfriend that pulled up in a different car, stated she was from OSHA, filled out some phony paperwork, make it look like they were going to be fined, and screwed those people out of a day's worth of work. And they worked all day on the house to rip their whole roof off and put it on. So I was a little bit nervous about how I would be treated coming into Mexico. And I flew in from Houston to Mexico City. It's like, I guess it's the capital city. Large airport there, I guess the biggest one. And it was a little fun getting around and trying to figure out where I needed to go. I had to ask for a lot of help. I had to stop at multiple information booths because the signage just isn't there. It's not as easy as maybe an airport that we might be used to follow your way around. And so I asked questions. I don't speak much Spanish, but I tried a little bit. And everybody was really, really nice. People were totally I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I thought there might be a little bit of this angst because of Donald Trump and all this stuff. And no, people were welcoming, nice. It's kind of like what Jeff Berwick talks about here in Acapulco. The people are nice. Now there are peddlers on the on the beach that are trying to sell you stuff, um, and they are nonstop. And I try to bargain and basically try and get for whatever they're asking. I go for half price, and even that is too much. But they're all nice. I met a guy out there. His name was Martin, and he said he was raised in the U.S. by a lady that took him in as a little boy, and so he had nothing but great things to say about the U.S. and told me if I needed anything, he'd take me in a taxi wherever I needed to go. And so I was a little bit stunned by, not stunned, but I was apprehensive about how I would be treated here as some gringo down here in Mexico. Maybe I'd get some bad stares or something. Nothing like that at all. Nothing like that. Nothing but smiles, and you know, some people try to speak a little bit in English. Some people's English is really good here. So that's been interesting. But I go back to some of the issues. As I was saying, I'm coming down here and I see how hospitable and nice people are, and I didn't know what to expect. And then I check in back home and I hear that, oh, there was another school shooting and there's 17 people dead, and some nut job kid who, unfortunately, I don't know all the details about it, but it sounded like his mother died recently or within the last year, and his dad wasn't really involved in his life or had previously been out of it, or so somebody slipped through the cracks, and I'm not making excuses for that. There's plenty of people that don't have that have family issues, that don't go around shooting and killing people. It's just screwed up. But it gets back to where I'm going to take this channel, and I'm going to talk about, not that I have the answers for everything, I don't, but I want to talk about ideas and ways to maybe deprogram some of the stuff that you may have been programmed with. I think the rest of the world probably sees things a little bit clearer. They may not have as much of the the whole USA thing drilled into their head as we do. But just talk about some of the social issues that we have, and that really dovetails to what's been going on here at Anarchapulco. I think they're having a crypto poco, which will be more on cryptocurrencies. It's either Sunday or Saturday, but a lot of what they've been discussing, are some of the social problems. And one thing that was brought up here that really made sense to me is they talked about the change has to, it's not about going out and changing society. And I really believe that the next message that this one guy was talking about, in fact, what is his name? I should give him credit. I have to give me a second here. Okay, well, Derek Bros, he was one of the first speakers yesterday. He touched on this, as well as Benny Wills touched on some of this too. And essentially what they're getting at is the change has to start from within. You can't go out and change the world. You can't go force people into believing something that you think that they should believe. That's kind of the opposite approach. And maybe that's the way governments and societies have been built in the past. Whether it's the church influence or whatever religious influence. But the concept here was change yourself. The change has to start with you. And this actually dovetails with kind of what I've been going through, and I've made big changes in my life in the last 5 years. Everything. Jeff talks about his own personal journeys. I've had very similar issues that I've gone through. Some are not the same as him. Some are different issues. Had some, very painful kind of family issues and things that you see that other people have, and we have this society that is like this. The United States is and I'm not bad mouthing the United States. There's good things and bad things. But you have a society that's created on competition. And so you tell everybody, hey, we're all on the same team. But the reality is when you go to work, your competition is your peer next to you. And they get people fighting each other, headbutting each other to try and move up the ranks of this corporate ladder. And it creates a system that produces some good things. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of individuality. I guess a big premium is placed on individuality. So people have this idea that they're free because they can express themselves and be an individual. And there's some truth to that. But at a societal level, you create this water is constantly churning because you have people pitted against each other. And in a lot of other countries, you don't quite have that same dynamic. You have more of a, especially in Asia, you have a very cohesive society where you put they put the society before the individual type of thing. At any rate, so this is an area that I've been kind of looking at for quite a while and seeing how that plays out in certain issues that I would like to talk about. But this is kind of part of what Anarchapulco is these guys are talking about. Make some of the changes in your own belief systems. If you can change maybe your belief on a certain issue or a certain thing and just be open to it. Be open to questioning those things. You don't have to, buy Heinz ketchup just because your parents bought Heinz ketchup. You can buy another brand of ketchup and try it. Maybe or French's mustard. I remember my parents always bought the Plockman's mustard. And so I was buying it. And I was, why am I doing this? Doing this just because my parents did this. So question, and that's a silly example, but question maybe some of your little beliefs and see, does that really hold true to what will make you happy? And so that's what they're talking about here. They talk a lot about society building. That's what's going on here shortly. There'll be a discussion of what is called free private cities are coming. Now, I don't know. There's a lot of idealists here. And truth be, there's a place for idealism, but the actual truth and how it all works out is never. There's no utopia. Okay, and so that's some of the things that are happening here. The second speech today: sustainable freedom through inner journey. Again, it's a little bit reflective, looking inward to see what makes you happy. Money, if you've had money, you know that doesn't do it for you. Instead of having a competitive attitude, how about a cooperative attitude towards other people and not looking at everybody as your competition, creating a life of liberty. There's going to be a debate today about the border and how, in kind of the new world, if you will, there's more and more, you can get around the country and go places. And it's very easy to hop on a plane and go somewhere where you've never been. And yeah, why shouldn't people be allowed to live where they want to live? This is really nice here. A little humid, but it's very nice. There'll be talks about venture culturalism. There's been some discussions about how and this one was a little dicey yesterday. A guy was talking about how parents, teach kids, and everything is when you start off as a kid, everything's wonderful and the kid's great. But as you get older and older, and as the circle of influence of that child moves out further and further, that individual isn't treated as a special, loving child anymore. It's just another person, another competitor to what I'm trying to do. And it's kind of he had a different way of explaining it, but it kind of goes back to some of the same things I'm talking about. There's more today about making schools obsolete. There are some people with that that angle, that feel like what is taught in schools is not what people should be learning. And there's probably some truth to that. You know, not everybody is cut out for the intellectual stuff. You know, people have certain strengths, and so maybe it's a little wiser. That once people need to be able to communicate, but once they know some of the basics, people should be maybe steered into, you know, an education that fits their strengths. Maybe, you know, I don't know. There's a lot there. I don't know the answers on all of that. Then later, well, that's pretty much on the panel for today. And then, of course, there's a full day of things on Saturday. And then I think Anarchapulco is on Sunday. Right. And then Monday, there will be an internationalization summit that I'll be going to as well. So I need to wrap this up and try and get this posted and see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. But anyway, that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to finish up my kind of reporting, if you will, on things here at Anarchapulco. I have a website. It's just called betterbeliefs.com. There's nothing really there other than you can put in an email address. And when I do a newsletter in the future, I can put you on the list. I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of stuff. So you can do that, or you can just subscribe to my channel. I might be changing that. I haven't thought all this out. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. But I'm going to talk about some of these different belief systems if this is of interest to you. Now, there are a lot of people here who are just interested in crypto and they want to make money, and they don't want to listen to all this other stuff about changing who they are and some of their beliefs and this journey within, and that's all right. If that's not for you, you know, then find something that is for you. But with that said, that's kind of the direction I'm going to go, and we'll catch you on the next video. Later.